Okay, so remember from our lesson yesterday, we talked about plot. Plot is when we are looking for certain elements within fiction. We are looking for characters. We are looking for setting. We are looking for conflict. We are looking for rising action and falling action. And we are also looking at the climax and if we can determine a lesson that has been learned. So now we need to take the information we used yesterday on our story, The Boy Who Cried Wolf. So let's recall some things about The Boy Who Cried Wolf. In the story, we have the story of a shepherd boy, some townspeople, and the mayor. This is a fable, so we know we have a theme. So we have a message, a lesson learned. Within our story, we find out that the boy is often in an open field with his sheep, and they are in a town. He goes into town often. And so without reading the entire story again, which you can do if you pause, I would like for you to just try to remember as much as you can. Skim over this passage and try to remember as much as you can about the story. Okay, so we have a shepherd boy who is watching over his flock, but he's often bored and lonely. He finds this job tedious. And remember, we said tedious meant tiring because of a length of dullness, boring. So he decides he was going to go into town one day and yell, "Wolf, wolf." The townspeople came back to the fields with him, and they looked everywhere, including behind briars. And we read, briars are a thorny plant. Now, after he had them looking twice, the mayor yelled at him, and that was our climax. And then our falling action, right after our climax, the next week he was watching his sheep, and suddenly a wolf ran out of the forest, and it headed straight for his flock. He ran as fast as he could into town, and he yelled, "Wolf, wolf," but no one came. And he said, "Really, there is a wolf. Please help me," he pleaded, but the people turned their back on him. And our moral was, once you lie, people won't believe you when you are telling the truth. And so now that is our resolution. He learned not to lie. So we're going to take all of this information and all these notes that we've made on our passage, and we are going to create a foldable where we are creating a summary. So I want you at this time to get your paper labeled. Somebody won it, but so then. And we're going to create a summary off of this passage. So the very first thing I want you to do is I want you to write your name on your foldable. You have your name on your foldable? Awesome. So we're going to take a look, and we're going to fold our foldable in along the dark line. And so we end up with almost like a booklet. It looks something like this. Okay. And I'm going to underline the questions that we're going to look for in our passage. So who is the main character? The main character of our story, we learned, is a shepherd boy. What what did he want? I want you to look in your notes and I want you to answer that. That is our conflict. He had a problem. He wanted something. But what was the problem? What was his problem? Why couldn't he have what he wanted? So, how did he try to solve his problem? So, how did the shepherd try to solve the problem? And then what was the resolution? How did his problem finally get solved? Or did it? And this is going to involve our moral. As well as our resolution. Okay. So what did he want in the story? Well, let's go back to the first question. The first question is, who is our main character? Our main character is the shepherd. What did the shepherd want? Make sure you're opening your foldable and following along as I do. Okay? What did he want? Well, let's look at our story. Our conflict says he was bored. So if we are thinking and inferencing, if you're bored and you aren't around many people, what might you want? Well, our shepherd wanted to not be bored. He wanted to be around people. He wanted to be with others. Let's go back. But what was the problem? Why couldn't he be with other people? Because he worked in a field. But let's be very specific. Because he worked with sheep in a field. Okay? So, how did the shepherd try to solve his problem? How did he try to solve his problem? So let's look back at our rising action. In our rising action, we underlined, he ran into the village and yelled, "Wolf, wolf." The townspeople ran into the field. Again, he ran into the village and yelled, "Wolf, wolf." And again, the people followed him back to the field, even though they didn't find a wolf. The rising action tells us what he tried to do. He tried to trick the townspeople into spending time with him. So, that is our so. But then what happened? Why did that not work? Or did it work? Well, it didn't work in our story. And so what ended up happening? The townspeople stopped believing him and he learned not to lie. All right, that is our conclusion to the lesson we had yesterday on plot. If you have any questions, please be prepared to write a summary. We're going to put all this information together. All right, thank you.